Hey everyone. Today, we're going to look at the future of the economy, but we're going to do it through a really specific and honestly super powerful lens, the bond market. We're going to unpack how the incredible evolution of artificial intelligence is poised to completely change the game. All right, let's get into it.
So the big question we're tackling is this. Is AI just about making trades faster, or is it something much, much bigger? Is it actually going to rewrite the fundamental rules of finance itself? The core concepts like interest, inflation, and credit. The stakes here are just massive.
To get our heads around this, we've got a simple roadmap. We'll start with why the bond market is the perfect place to look, and then we'll walk through three distinct eras of AI. The era of efficiency with ANI, the era of understanding with AGI, and finally, the era of redefinition with ASI.
So you might be asking, why bonds? Of all things, why focus there? Well, it's because the bond market is basically the foundation of the entire global economy. It's where the big variables live: interest rates, inflation expectations, and credit risk. That means when AI starts to change things here, it's not just about getting more efficient. It's about changing the very way countries fund themselves and how our entire monetary system works. Okay, so here's the timeline we'll be using as our guide. Right now, we are smack in the middle of the age of artificial narrow intelligence, or ANI. Then, somewhere around 2030, we expect to see the rise of artificial general intelligence, or AGI. And looking further out, maybe around 2040, we could see the arrival of artificial superintelligence, ASI. Each one of these stages isn't just a small step, it's a massive leap forward.
Let's kick things off with Phase 1, what we're calling the era of efficiency. This is the world of specialized AI, or ANI. And it's not some far-off future. This is the phase we're all living and working in right now, and it's projected to last until about 2030.
So what is ANI exactly? The easiest way to think about it is as a world-class specialist. It's an AI that is absolutely superhuman at one or two very specific things, like spotting patterns in massive data sets. But, and this is key, it can't think or operate outside of that narrow little box.
And we are already seeing its impact all over the place. An ANI can read a statement from a central bank and, in milliseconds, figure out if the tone is hawkish or dovish. It can automate credit analysis by pulling in everything from financial reports to social media chatter and even satellite photos of parking lots. It's even getting into markets for things like local government bonds, areas that used to be purely the domain of human traders. So, if you boil it all down, the game in this AI era is all about one thing: speed. The biggest competitive advantage, the weapon of choice, is simply being able to process information faster than anyone else. Now, starting around 2030, things take a huge leap forward. We enter the next phase, the era of understanding. This is all driven by artificial general intelligence, or AGI. And this is where AI moves from just pure processing speed to something that looks a lot more like genuine comprehension. You see, unlike the narrow specialist ANI, an AGI can actually understand context. It can reason across totally different fields, kind of like how a human does. It could connect the dots between a geopolitical event, a new technology, and a shift in consumer psychology to build a complete picture of the world. And the economic impact of this? It's profound. AGI is expected to create such huge leaps in productivity that real interest rates would likely go up, which means prices for long-term bonds would go down. Entire portfolios could be run by an AGI that doesn't just look at past data but actually understands the root causes of inflation. And all those tiny little pricing mistakes in the market that traders try to find? Gone. An AGI would spot and fix them instantly, basically eliminating arbitrage. This slide does a great job of showing the massive shift for finance professionals. Before AGI, the human manager is the one making the big strategic calls. But in the AGI era, your role completely flips. You're not the strategist anymore. Your job is to oversee and take responsibility for the AI's strategic decisions. It's a totally different function.
Okay, now we're heading into the deep end, the most speculative and, frankly, the most mind-bending stage, which could begin around 2040. Welcome to the era of redefinition, powered by artificial superintelligence, or ASI.
I want you to just let that definition sink in for a second. An AI as the eye isn't just smarter than the smartest person. It's an intellect that is vastly more capable than the combined brain power of every single human on Earth in every single field. Imagine an intelligence that can perfectly simulate the global economy while also managing physical resources down to the molecular level using things like nanorobots. That level of control just changes everything.
The consequences here are almost hard to wrap your head around. If an AI can manage production and supply chains with nanorobots, things like scarcity or manufacturing delays could literally be engineered out of existence. That means you could predict future cash flows with perfect accuracy. So what happens to the whole idea of a risk premium, the extra money you get paid for taking on uncertainty? It just vanishes. And if an AI can manage the money supply perfectly, what's the point of a central bank? It could be replaced by what's called algorithmic governance. The bond market as we know it might just become obsolete.
And this is the absolute key takeaway for the ASI era. In a world run by an ASI, bonds stop being risk assets. They're no longer an investment you make based on an uncertain future. They just become simple, predictable tools for transferring funds from point A to point B. No risk, and therefore, no premium.
All right, let's bring it all home and do a quick recap of the entire journey we just took, from the specialized AI we have today all the way to the superintelligence of tomorrow.
This table lays it all out beautifully, so let's just walk through it. First up, the main player. In the ANI era, it's a human using AI tools. That shifts to the AGI being the main agent, and finally, a full ASI governance system takes over. How are interest rates determined? We go from high-speed data analysis to deep predictions about economic growth, and then finally to a system of optimal resource allocation. What about credit risk? It goes from being analyzed better to being predicted perfectly to being eliminated entirely. And finally, what's the investor's role? It evolves from managing the trades to approving the strategy, and in the end, to simply telling the system your goals and letting it execute them perfectly.
This quote really captures the entire story perfectly. We are moving away from a market that's just a competition of speed, which is what the ANI era is all about, and we're heading toward a future defined by the absolute certainty of prediction that AGI and ASI promise to bring.
And so that leaves us with one last fascinating question to think about. In a world where an ASI can perfectly optimize the economy, where risk and uncertainty are things of the past, what does the concept of value even mean anymore? Definitely something to chew on. Thanks for watching.